What if I told you that the way you start your day can completely change the course of your life? I'm not talking about miracles. I'm talking about mental command, about simple phrases, repeated with intention, that have the power to guide your mind before the world tries to do it for you. Every morning when you wake up, your mind is open, receptive, almost neutral, and it's in that moment that you choose what to put inside it, fear or confidence. There are simple words that can lift you up, strengthen you, and pull you out of doubt, distraction, and self-pity. You can wake up and repeat the same old thoughts. It's going to be hard. I'm so tired. Nothing has changed. Or you can choose another path. You can choose to feed your strength instead of your weakness. You can choose to remember your value, your capacity, and everything you can still build, starting from within. In this video, I'll show you 9 simple yet extremely powerful phrases you should tell yourself every morning. And when you say them with presence and conviction, you'll notice something shifts. Your gaze becomes firmer, your energy more stable, and even problems seem smaller. Words create pathways, and what you affirm with intention, the brain turns into direction. You don't live what you desire, you live what you believe. So let's begin. 1. Today is going to be a great day. Even if things aren't easy, even if the day starts with confusion, even if the alarm sounds late or you feel exhausted, you can still make it a great day. Not by luck, but by decision, by attitude. Because what transforms the day isn't what happens outside, it's what you decide to nurture inside. When you wake up and say with conviction, "Today is going to be a great day," you're giving your brain an order to look for reasons to confirm it. And it will find them. Dr. Daniel Amen, a psychiatrist and expert in brain health, says the brain follows the focus of the mind. He recommends beginning the day with a simple question. Why could today be a great day? That question becomes a compass because it forces the mind to seek the positive. You stop being a passenger of chance and start directing your energy. It's like adjusting your course before setting sail. The sea may remain the same, with waves, winds, and unexpected turns, but your perspective changes, and that changes everything. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." When you start your day prepared to see the good, you create opportunities to live it. Even on a difficult day, this affirmation works. If you have a heavy commitment, a loss, or a pain, saying, "Today is going to be a great day," isn't denying reality. It's choosing a wiser way to walk through it. You can make the day better by embracing someone with greater presence, remembering what truly matters, or simply breathing deeply and thanking yourself for being alive. Life will always test your focus, placing difficult people, unexpected losses, and challenges before you that shake your emotions. But it's precisely here that your mental training reveals itself. Being positive when everything goes well is easy. True power lies in keeping the light on when everything seems dark. The human mind is like a lens. It can magnify the problem or amplify hope. And that choice is always yours. Whoever learns to govern their inner state stops depending on circumstances to feel peace. Every morning is a silent opportunity to reprogram your mind. If you don't do it intentionally, someone else will. Fear, news, chaos. They'll take control. So before you check your phone, say aloud to yourself, if possible, "Today is going to be a great day, and I'm going to make it so." And in that instant, the day begins to obey your mind, not the other way around. Because 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you respond. And it's that choice that transforms an ordinary day into an extraordinary one. 2. Something good is going to happen to me today. After saying, "Today is going to be a great day," add, "Something good is going to happen to me today." This simple phrase completely changes the energy with which you start your day. It creates anticipation and awakens curiosity, as if your life were a small adventure waiting for a special event. When you wake up expecting the worst, your mind searches for problems. But when you wake up expecting the best, it becomes a hunter of good surprises. It's not magic, it's focus. Your brain functions like a radar. It finds what you instruct it to search for. If you say, "Something good is going to happen to me today," you spend the day alert to small miracles, an unexpected smile, a message from an old friend, an unannounced opportunity. It's like walking down a path and suddenly noticing flowers that were always there, but that you never saw. The difference isn't in the path, it's in who you become as you walk it. And here comes a Stoic truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul is dyed by the color of its thoughts." When you tint your thoughts with optimism, the world changes tone. The same landscapes come alive again, the same people seem lighter, and even difficulties appear less threatening. This is one of the greatest skills you can develop, having a good attitude without needing a reason. Think about how many times you've woken up in a bad mood for no reason. How often have you lost your calm before the day even began? We're trained to fall into automatic negativity. It's the unconscious pilot of the mind. But you can reverse this. You can train yourself to wake up with serenity, to be in a good mood for no reason at all, simply because it's your natural state. The point of balance of your soul. Being in a good mood without cause isn't naivety. It's self-mastery. It's deciding that the outer world will no longer command your inner one. And when you live this way, good things start happening more frequently. Not by coincidence, but because you're finally open to seeing them. Good things happen when you shift the frequency of your attention. What was noise becomes music. What was distraction becomes signal. What seemed ordinary reveals meaning. Life doesn't transform overnight. It simply lets itself be seen by those who learn to look. So repeat now, calmly and firmly. Something good is going to happen to me today. Then ask yourself, why not? Because, as Joseph Campbell, the great American mythologist, said, when you follow what gives you life, doors open where there were once only walls. 3. No matter what happens today, I can handle it. This phrase is an anchor. If you often feel anxiety, it might be the missing point of balance you need. Because anxiety arises when you doubt your own strength. It's the mind trying to control the uncontrollable, manufacturing pains that don't exist yet, imagining the worst. You think, what if it goes wrong? What if I can't? What if it's too much for me? But what this mantra does is restore truth to its place. You are not the same person as before. You've already survived worse days, and you're still standing. And that's all you need to remember when your mind tries to convince you otherwise. When you say, no matter what happens today, I can handle it, you break the cycle of worry and activate the cycle of confidence. It's as if you're telling your brain, whatever comes, I remain standing. Think of it as a mental shield. You're not saying everything will be easy. You're saying that even when it's hard, you'll maintain your composure. And that difference changes everything. Emotional maturity isn't avoiding discomfort. It's enduring it with clarity. When you recognize your resources, your calm, your courage, your clarity, you become capable of facing what's right in front of you. You can't control the storm's size, but you can control the firmness of your step. And that's what defines your day. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to us that matters. It's how we react to what happens." That is the heart of Stoicism. Every situation is a mental training ground, an opportunity to choose reason over panic, presence over escape. Life will present increasingly difficult lessons, but each time you respond with calm, you train your mind to trust itself. It's like building an invisible structure within you, stone upon stone, made of self-control and acceptance. Imagine waking up and receiving a message from your boss. We need to talk today. Before, that alone would trigger a mental alarm. Did I do something wrong? Am I getting fired? But when you say, I can handle it, your brain stops fabricating disasters and returns to the present. You create space to think, rather than react. You're not denying the problem, you're choosing not to suffer in advance. Most people wake up and, without realizing it, place their minds in defense mode. They compare, limit themselves, sabotage. But you can choose confidence mode. And confidence isn't arrogance, it's presence. It's the serenity of knowing that strength isn't in controlling everything, but in adapting to whatever comes. It's knowing that no matter the challenge, you'll adjust, think, act, and continue. Even if the day brings tension, bad news, or surprises, you remain whole. Because this mantra isn't naive optimism. It's a reminder that your strength doesn't depend on the scenario, but on the posture you choose toward it. So say now, calmly, no matter what happens today, I can handle it. Repeat it until you feel the phrase stop being just words and become your new attitude. Because when the mind trusts itself, the body calms, and life stops feeling like a threat, becoming instead a quiet school, a place where every challenge reveals how much you've grown. 4. A new exciting chapter in my life begins today. This phrase is more than a declaration. It's an order. When you say it, you're telling your brain, enough of repeating the same stories. Today, something new begins. Even if your routine looks the same, something deep inside you changes. It's like opening the window of a room that's been closed for months. Air enters, light streams in, and suddenly, what was gray regains color. Nothing external has really changed, but your perspective has. And when your perspective changes, the world changes with it. Because what renews life isn't the scenery, it's how you interpret it. Most people only decide to start over when the floor collapses beneath them after a breakdown, a loss, or a failure. But wisdom lies in beginning before the pain, by decision, not desperation. To restart in peace is an act of courage, choosing clarity over drama. You can start a new chapter today without erasing the past, simply by deciding not to be defined by it. Seneca said, "Each day we are reborn." And look around, life begins anew with every sunrise. He was right. Every morning is a blank page, waiting for your writing. The tone of the story depends on what you choose to believe right now. When you repeat, "A new, exciting chapter in my life begins today," your brain understands it as a mission. It starts searching for evidence to make that statement real. Because the brain is a loyal servant to the words you choose, it transforms intention into direction, expectation into action. The mind is like a lens. It doesn't show the world as it is, but as you tell it to see. If the filter is fear, you only see danger. But if the filter is enthusiasm, you start noticing open doors, coincidences, the right people, ideas arriving at the perfect moment. It's the same phenomenon as when you decide to buy a car. Suddenly you start seeing it everywhere. It was always there. It just wasn't part of your attention. Hope works the same way. When you affirm, "A new chapter begins today," you're instructing your mind to look for everything that can flourish. You activate the part of your mind that seeks renewal, purpose, and possibility. Suddenly, the mundane gains meaning. A conversation becomes an idea. A problem becomes a lesson. An encounter becomes an opportunity. Reality doesn't change color on its own. It's your gaze that paints it. So say with conviction, "A new, exciting chapter in my life begins today." Feel the weight of the past lighten, like someone closing an old book to open a new one. The new doesn't begin outside. It begins the instant you decide to stop repeating the old. And when that decision is genuine, life quietly begins to conspire in your favor. 5. Today, I acknowledge my effort. You demand so much of yourself that sometimes you forget how much you've grown. You're always looking at what's missing, what hasn't gone well, rarely at how much you've learned to endure, restart, and stay strong. The human mind has this tendency. It gets used to its own achievements and starts treating them as obligations. But pause for a moment and look at your routine honestly. Think about how many times you got up tired and went anyway. How many times did you keep going in silence while your mind told you to stop? That is strength. But you've been taught to see strength only in visible results. when in fact, the greatest power lies in what no one measures: consistency. Self-recognition isn't vanity, it's clarity. It's understanding that you're playing a long game, and progress doesn't always appear on the scoreboard. Many believe recognizing their own value is ego, but it's the opposite. It's an act of emotional responsibility. It's telling yourself, I know what I'm doing for myself. I see what no one else sees. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look inside. There's a source of strength that will never dry up as long as you return to it." That strength is internal recognition. When you acknowledge it, your body rests, your mind reorganizes, and your energy flows again. Excessive self-criticism beyond a certain point leaves you exhausted. It creates the illusion that nothing is ever enough, even when you're on the right path. It's like running while carrying a suitcase full of demands. Every "I should have done more" adds more weight to your back, and eventually, you're not learning, you're just punishing yourself. Recognition is the antidote to that cycle. Instead of asking, "Why didn't I achieve more?" ask, "How did I get this far?" Notice the small things: the day you kept your calm, the tough conversation you faced, the task you completed despite not wanting to. These moments seem small, but they shape your character. The mind needs proof to trust itself. Every time you acknowledge a real effort, you send a signal to your brain, "I can trust myself." And that's where true self-confidence is born, not from perfection, but from the sum of sustained efforts guided by purpose. When you recognize yourself, your body rests, focus returns, and willpower reappears. It's like stopping to breathe during a long hike. The next step becomes lighter. So repeat with conviction, "Today, I recognize how hard I'm working." Say it until your voice changes, until the phrase sounds true, because the problem was never lack of effort, it was lack of recognition. The day you learn to treat yourself with respect is the day your progress stops being a struggle and becomes a natural state. And when that happens, you'll realize the strength you've been seeking outside was always there, growing silently within you. 6. I'm still becoming who I want to be. You don't need to have everything figured out. You can breathe. You can make mistakes. You can try again as many times as needed. Life isn't a straight line. It's a moving construction made of adjustments, pauses, and fresh attempts. An error isn't a deviation. It's part of the process of building yourself. When you say, "I am still becoming who I want to be," you free yourself from the pressure of needing to be perfect. You're telling your brain, "I don't need to be ready to begin. I can learn as I go." How many times have you postponed something, waiting for the perfect moment? The answer is simple: infinite times. But the perfect moment doesn't exist. Something will always be missing: time, courage, money, or confidence. Yet, whoever starts without having it all grows while walking. Epictetus said, "No man is free until he learns to master himself." And that mastery lasts a lifetime. To be a work in progress is to accept that life is a journey, not a performance. Your desk may be messy, your plan unclear, your progress slower than expected, and still, you're evolving, you're moving, you're trying, you're growing. Life doesn't demand speed, it demands presence. Perfection is an exhausting mirage, but progress is a real path, full of stumbles, breakthroughs, and small victories. Whoever chases perfection freezes. Whoever accepts learning moves forward. When you embrace this mindset, errors stop being signs of weakness and become proofs of courage. Think of a sculptor facing a block of stone. He doesn't see imperfection, he sees potential. Every hammer strike, however harsh, reveals a new form, and it's precisely the friction that gives meaning to the work. You are that sculptor, and the life you're shaping is the result of the decisions you make each day, not the ones you still fear making. So say to yourself, calmly and firmly, "I am still becoming who I want to be." And every time your mind demands perfection, respond with serenity. Precisely because of that, I am evolving. Progress doesn't arise when everything is perfect. It arises when you decide to continue, even with doubts, even in the middle of construction. It's in the space between mistake and success that wisdom grows. And the more you accept being a work in progress, the more life begins to move in rhythm with you. 7. I am grateful for everything I have. Gratitude is the foundation of a strong mind. When you learn to appreciate what you already have, your view of the world changes completely. We live in an age of comparison. Social media shows us mansions, cars, trips, and rehearsed smiles. And without realizing it, you start measuring your worth by what you lack. But the truth is, nothing external will ever be enough, as long as your gaze is fixed only on what you don't have. When you train your mind to practice gratitude, everything changes. You stop staring at the emptiness of the glass and start seeing the water that remains. Comparison loses power because your focus shifts from desire to presence, and what once seemed insignificant becomes a reason for gratitude. St. Thomas Aquinas said, "Gratitude is the mother of all virtues." And he was right. Gratitude brings humility, strengthens resilience, and reconnects you with what's essential. When you give thanks, you say to life, "I recognize what I've already received." And that simple act restores your power, the power to realize you already have more than you imagined. Think of a difficult day. You could lose yourself in exhaustion, criticism, or mistakes. Or you could choose to be grateful for your health to keep going, for your job, for someone to lean on. Problems don't vanish, but their weight changes. Gratitude doesn't erase pain. It lights a fire within it. It also transforms relationships. When you recognize and value even small gestures, you create a cycle of affection and reciprocity. A simple thank you can change the tone of a conversation, dissolve conflict, bring hearts closer. True peace doesn't come from having it all. It comes from valuing what you already possess. When you repeat daily, "I am grateful for everything I have," you reprogram your mind to see the good, even on hard days. Gratitude is like a key. It opens space inside you so something new can enter. And the more you practice gratitude, the more reasons you discover to keep going. 8. If I keep showing up, life will reward me. The secret isn't being the most talented, the fastest, or the smartest. The secret is simply showing up, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Life rewards those who don't abandon themselves, and showing up doesn't always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it's getting out of bed even when you're tired. It's continuing to write when the words won't come. It's returning to the gym after a rough week. It's trying again after failing. These small daily repetitions build what the world calls luck. Because success doesn't arrive suddenly. It's the quiet result of someone who stayed faithful to the process. Seneca said, "It's not because things are difficult that we dare not. It's because we dare not that things become difficult." Persistence is a form of courage. When you choose to continue, even without guarantees, you're telling life, "I believe in myself, even when I can't yet see the outcome." Progress is often invisible. It happens in silence, in unseen effort. But it's precisely this constant effort that turns the impossible into the inevitable. Think of a sown field. For weeks, it appears empty. Nothing is happening. But then, without warning, the first sprouts emerge. And they only appeared because someone kept watering, even when they saw nothing. You are that farmer. And every act of consistency is a drop of water preparing the harvest. So repeat to yourself, "If I keep showing up, life will reward me." Don't give up because it takes time. Of course it does. Everything worthwhile takes time. But time always rewards those who remain. Keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep believing. Because life always recognizes those who don't run from the fight. And one day when you look back, you'll realize the reward wasn't just what you achieved, it was who you became while persisting. 9. Today I have something to offer. Many people spend their lives waiting for confidence to appear, as if it were a prize that arrives only after success. But the truth is the opposite. Confidence is what opens the door to success. It arises when you decide to act, even without guarantees, when you stop asking if you're ready and simply begin contributing with what you already have. Sometimes what's missing isn't opportunity. It's realizing the value of what you already carry. Your knowledge, your experience, your presence, all of that already has value now. But as long as you hesitate, the world doesn't see it. Because no one clearly perceives someone who still hides. And this is so real that in 1978, a group of American researchers conducted a curious experiment. They told some teachers that certain students had high intellectual potential, but it was a lie. These were ordinary children. Yet over the year, these students performed better, participated more, and developed faster. Why? Because the teachers believed in them. Their belief created space for growth. And that's exactly what happens when you believe in yourself. When you say, "Today I have something to offer," you create that same space. But now it's for you. You're not waiting for validation, you're declaring your contribution. You don't need to be perfect to help, to speak, to create. You just need to show up and share your light. That light doesn't have to be dazzling, it just needs to be yours. And when you shine it, others benefit, even if they don't understand why. Because value doesn't need permission, it needs expression. So don't wait, don't hide, don't think you need more to be worthy. Start today, offer what you can. And when you do, you'll feel the shift. You'll stand taller, you'll speak clearer, you'll walk with more purpose. Because you've stopped waiting for permission and started living as someone who knows they belong. Write in the comments, "Today, I have something to offer." Because that's the exact moment you reclaim your power and stop being a spectator in your own life.